Welcome to QUARANLEAN, the show where we bring a little lean ensemble into your homes while we all wait for the moment when we can once again do it in the theater.
I'm announcing that effective Monday, August the 3rd, theater, performing arts, those types of businesses may operate under these conditions, and this will be enforced. Attendance may not exceed 50%.
I'm Blake White. This is episode 7 of the online talk show, and I think we can all agree that this mullet is running at 50% capacity. This week on QUARANLEAN, we're going to be talking about education. You know, sometimes people are surprised when they find out that I am a college graduate, which is hurtful. In the year 2000, I graduated with a theater degree from a small liberal arts school in southern Indiana called Hanover College. Some notable alumni of Hanover include the Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence, and 3-time Academy Award nominee, Woody Harrelson. Let's say that again. I went to the same school as the guy who won't have dinner alone with a woman who's not his wife, and the star of The People vs. Larry Flynt. Google it. As the conversation about education in the age of COVID, as well as the debate of reopening schools goes on, I thought it might be handy to talk to a couple of actual teachers. My guests this week are writers, actors, and directors, as well as professors in the Department of English, Theater, and Liberal Studies at the University of South Carolina in Beaufort. She is an ensemble member here at Lean, and he is a published author and playwright. And together, they are Barrett and Marlowe's mom and dad. I'm thrilled to be talking to George Pate and Libby Ricardo. I am so excited to be sitting here talking to George Pate and Libby Ricardo and the most important guest of honor, Mr. Barrett Pate. Hello, guys. How are you?
Hi.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
So Barrett, before we got started, did you finish eating that silver dollar?
No, I managed to get it.
It's gone somewhere.
It's gone somewhere. I don't know if you've heard, but they're short of coins.
Yeah.
So you guys are basically the theater department at the University of South Carolina, Beaufort. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we're the theater program within our department.
So you are already running a small department in a university that is probably, I won't make you say it, I'll say it, it's probably underfunded. And now there is a pandemic, and now you're about to go back to school and teach. So what kind of circle of hell are you guys living in?
Yeah. Which is the one with the suicide trees? No, it's been weird. It's been super weird. And, you know, one of the things that's sort of nice for us is, like, we don't have a lot of funding for our shows and stuff, but we never have. And so like, we're kind of like, you know.
Can't cut what you never gave me in the first place.
Yeah.
So how are you approaching, like, the classroom end of it? A lot of people that I've spoken to seem to think that that's a little bit more palatable because you can turn a lecture class into a Zoom and that's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. So I'll let Libby speak to the acting side of things.
So technically my classes are coded as face-to-face, but they will be sort of function as a flipped classroom. And so a lot of the content will be available online. Students who don't feel comfortable coming into the classroom or who are ill or for whatever reason won't be able to make it to the face-to-face component can complete the class 100% asynchronously. But we will have to create breakout sessions so that we are able to social distance. I will go into the space and literally tape out where students can stand. And yeah, so that'll be in the next few weeks. I'll be in there with my measuring tape and, you know, spiking the space. It's not ideal, but I'm trying to make the best out of sort of a universally bad situation.
I can't believe I never thought of this, but it is a very lean-centric situation. Yeah. Can you please break down how everything that happened in and around the underpants?
Yeah, you know what? I'm actually writing an academic article about it. So look out for
Marlo, the young man who is asleep upstairs in your house,
Yeah.
kicked me through your stomach in front of 175 people when I was coming on to you on stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, even then, he was like, you get out of here.
He's a good judge of character.
I was 34 weeks pregnant at the time, which now thinking about it, like, I don't know what I was thinking or what you guys were thinking. I mean, it was fine. It like went okay. And
But
like,
also, not only your pregnancy, that was Hurricane Matthew.
yeah. I mean, so you offered me the role of Gertrude. I think a couple of weeks later, I found out that we were expecting. I waited until sort of toward the end of my first trimester to tell you. We got like, okay, this is going to happen. And then literally 2 weeks before we were supposed to begin rehearsal, and I was like well into my third trimester, we had, or just, like I was in my third trimester, we had to evacuate. And then we all decided to come back and do the show. And I was having to go to doctor's appointments like a few doctor's appointments during the process. And I mean, it was a lot, but I guess it's just I've just been a working actor and mom and teacher. And it doesn't seem that weird to me because that's just sort of like what my existence is.
Yeah, I mean, we're very lucky. Like we have homes and cars that tend to start most every time we get in them, and food, but we have, all three of us have lived some version of that like gypsy lifestyle that to us is just sort of like, yeah, that's what we do. Barrett,
Yeah. Can you say
I
hi?
am curious about what your hi, buddy. I'm curious about what your parents think about you and your brother going back to school.
Barrett has to walk for a second, so I'm solo for a sec. There are a lot of jobs that teachers are not being compensated for, and a lot of expectations of them that go far beyond, sort of their job description. And it makes me so grateful that we have this like robust and like incredibly talented, intelligent group of individuals who are willing to do such important work for like very little financial compensation, and let's be frank, like not really the like accolades and adoration that they deserve. It's really upsetting to think about the fact that like school teachers have to take on that burden, but it also makes it so abundantly clear that like underserved communities or any community, it is so necessary and integral to who we are as like a society to have like these teachers, like they're touchstones. They sort of they're educating our children in so many ways, and also they're caretakers, right? I understand where parents are coming from. I think that in a lot of these conversations we are getting mad at the wrong people, right? Or the wrong things, right? We should be mad at the system that has created a dependency on the public school system for childcare, as opposed to being mad at the educators who are sort of like then interpolated into that system. Also, like I have such tremendous empathy, again, for the people who are getting, not necessarily for the mask thing, but for like parents who are getting frustrated because their child just cannot learn via Zoom, right? They cannot make their kids sit down because the conventions of the household are not the same as a schoolroom. And so like, no matter how hard or how diligently, this parent works with their child, like they can't get them to do the math assignment that they would have just done in a classroom, because that is what is expected of them normally in a classroom, and home is for eating and fun. And, it's an entirely different world normally.
We are hoping to redo the shows that we were trying to do last season in the coming season. And we have every intention of doing them in one way or another. I'm curious, as an actor, when you get 2/3 of the way through a rehearsal process like we were when we were doing Cry It Out. Are you already, do you feel like you're ahead of the game because of that work? Or do you feel like I have already forgotten all of it, and the things that I remember are only the parts that I don't want to repeat?
You know, it'll be an entirely different story a year from now, or however many months from now. And like, I will be a different person having lived in quarantine with my family for a year. And like that, the themes of isolation and needing a mom tribe and feeling like I don't know what I'm doing as a parent, and like having to juggle parenthood and a job and like feeling torn between the two. I mean, like all of those themes are going to be, in my opinion, even more prescient than they already were, to me, and also I think to our audience. And so like, I think I like to think about the work that we did as like a workshop, but I actually think it's going to be a very different show than what it was. And hopefully like the same beats will hit. There will still be funny moments, and there will still be sort of like moments of like sorrow and whatever. But I do think it'll just be a different show because of we're all collectively living in a different time, and we'll come out of it different people. That's the reason why we do plays. Like, that's the reason why Cry It Out is produced all the time at different theaters with different actors. It might be the same words, but the story changes, it evolves, right? And so like, I mean, I'm actually really excited to revisit it, knowing that it will be, I imagine, even more painful than it was the first time. As like, when Barrett was 8 months old, right? And I was going to rehearsals, and I never spent more than a couple of hours away from him because I was on modified duties, and then I went into rehearsals and I was away from him for longer amounts of time, and it was hard. And I mean, like, but now, you know, like parenthood is tender in a different way. And yeah, I'm excited about it, and I hope an audience will be there to be excited too. Yeah.
Now let me ask.
I know, I don't want to say goodbye either. George, Libby, Barrett, thank you guys very much for having a little conversation with us. And it's always wonderful to see your very, very handsome and pretty and adorable faces. I'll let you guys decide who's who. And hopefully the world will calm down, and in the spring we'll do a couple of shows together.
Yeah.
We miss you. We miss you.
Too.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Of course. Bye.
Well, that's it for this episode of QUARANLEAN. I want to thank my guests, George Pate and Libby Ricardo, as well as Barrett Pate. I also want to thank our production sponsor for this episode, our attorney, Kelly Jolly, over at the Jolly Law Group. Gratitude and thanks as always to our producer, Erica Kramer, over at Sleeves Up Productions. My apologies for running out of time to all 4 of my nieces, Eileen Rice, Claire Rice, Maggie White, and Anna White. Stay in school, girls. We'll see you again in 2 weeks, everybody. And until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay sane.